Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. How are my peeps doing? Welcome aboard. Eric Hayes is in the house from Kingwood at Tascasita. Bridge MCP is in the house from Binghamton, New York. That is upstate New York. Carl Cox is in the house from... I still don't have yours memorized correctly, but I think it is in Georgia, and I forgot the town in Georgia. Patrick Meigerdner is in Houston, Texas. We've got as well, let's see, Yvette Avery Herod, Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York. Alice Aaron Dreams from, I believe in... I think you are in, not Kingwood, but you are in Paravet. I think you're in Houston, right? Alisaris Dreams, just give me a shout. Let me know where you're at. So give me your town once again, Cox and Dreams. Anyhow, we've got a great show for you today. Let's go ahead and start reading. Let's see what we got here from Bridge MCP. She wants me to start with a piece to put on the screen. And you know what? I will. Okay, let's see. Jay Ray is in the Riverdale, Georgia. Why can't I remember Riverdale, Georgia? River. I live near a river. Riverdale, Georgia. Association to Brother Cox. Alice Aaron Dreams. Where are you? Summerwood. That's where it's at. Summerwood. I knew it was somewhere around here. Billy Irwin, Summerwood. There we go. All right, we also have Jay Ray. My brother says, hello, Alberto. Before you get started, did you see the verbal clock cleaning of Ted Cruz last night on the debate stage? And if so, what was your thoughts? I think, like I said this morning, I think Cruz was surprised. The pushback that he got a man standing up next to him and went ahead and really started to melt, you know? I mean, he liked to call out, oh, you're Nancy Pelosi. Well, you know what? Nancy Pelosi would have cleaned his clock as well. The guy's just an empty suit, right? And I think he was called out perfectly yesterday by Allred, by Colin Allred. All right, let's see who else is in the house. Paul Fleming is in the house from Powder Springs, Atlanta. And I want to still at Powder Springs, Georgia. And I want to remember Riverdale, Georgia for our brother Cox. I'm trying to remember. And Summerwood for Alice Aaron Dreams, which is also AKA Billy Irwin. All right. Who else? Anybody else in the house? I don't think there's anybody else in the house, but let me read what our sister gave me to read. And when she says, Egberto, read this, you know I will do that. So, union workers for Trump weren't union. Auto workers for Trump weren't auto workers. Firefighters for Trump weren't firefighters. People at the Harlem bodega weren't from Harlem. And the random black Chick-fil-A customer who loved Trump was a paid RNC operative. The entire Trump campaign is one big con. Ron Filipowski, lawyer, Sarasota, Florida. And I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. So shall we repeat it? Union workers for Trump weren't union, and we knew that one. Auto workers for Trump weren't auto workers. We knew that because remember at the same time Biden went and stood with them. He actually was at a non-union shop. Firefighters for Trump weren't firefighters. Yeah, but I'm very upset at the firefighters union because they should have endorsed Kamala Harris, but too many of them are misled. People at the Harlem bodega weren't from Harlem. I kind of figured that out. And the random black Chick-fil-A customer who loved Trump was paid RNC operative. All right, Colin looked like he wanted to line up and tackle Texas like he was but you know what? I actually said something to that effect. In fact, the title of Politics Done Right this morning, I don't know if I called it. I said Ted Cruz and Colin Powell and Colin Allred face off in Texas Senate debate. The candidates engage in a fiery but substantive matchup on Tuesday as polls showed Mr. Cruz with a slight. No, that's not what I called it. Let me put it up top. What I said is Colin Allred hit Ted Cruz like a football player. That was in the subject of the show this morning, Jay. I don't think you showed up this morning to the morning show. But anyhow, continuing, let's see what else we got here. Colin looked like he wanted to line tackle. Yeah, he did. Correction, Ted Cruz, not Texas. My voice transcription messed up. Ha 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 ha. Okay, what else have we got here? If all believe what counts, right, gets votes for the democracy way to win. Yeah, we believe in democracy. Unfortunately, not even the founding fathers wanted one person, one vote. So therefore, Democrats have to show that they have much more support than Republicans to win. So when Republicans win, they can win without complete support. They can win with 45% of the country supporting them. Democrats need about 55% of the country supporting them. It's amazing, isn't it? It's sad because what it meant is that every Republican president that has come into power in the lifetime of many only came into power as a minority president. Harris this AM 4052. Yeah, I saw that one. The polls. What's interesting is I said trend lines are important. And while folks want to see otherwise, the trends are still saying as people see more of her poll number goes up, which is a good thing. Anyway, this morning we had a call from one of my regulars, and I want to play it because I respectfully called it out. I think this guy is actually likely a Democrat. But what it showed is that Kamala is going to have to fight the same battle that Hillary had to fight, which is that sexism again that is on all that you find on all sides. I want you to listen to this, and then we will take it on the other side. It's a piece of my show that I cut in pieces this morning. One of my callers that, he calls almost every day to my morning show on the radio, called in and above and beyond complaining about Harris and her possibility of winning or losing. He made a comment about her laugh and how she performed at the Charlemagne interview, which I thought was actually very, very good. But what it shows that with a certain generation of men, the sexism simply cannot be overcome. The laughter that, or just the femininity of, in particular, Kamala Harris, but women in general, turns out can be a detriment in some people who still live under that patriarchy, that way of thinking men must control it. And it is something that I think whoever you are, whatever platform you have, must confront every single time and never let it slide. And that's what I did here. And I want you to listen to that exchange with the caller. I cut it up to just include what we needed to put into the video. Check it out. Let's go to Brother Jacob. Come on in, Brother Jacob.
Yeah, but I saw her interview on Charlemagne. And I'm like listening to her and her giggling. She just come off just wrong, bro, to me.
Okay, let me just say this. Hold on a second, Jacob. First of all, I saw the same interview that you saw from Charlemagne. I got a completely different perspective. I think I started the show that way. When it comes to Kamala and what I heard, there is, and I'll say this respectfully to you. Women have a higher pitched voice in the aggregate than men do. As such, also women in their laughter would be different than men. To suggest that a feminine act is less than competent or less than strong or less than able to do things is it's a patriarchal manner that we've all grown up with, that I've learned over time as I made my transition in the United States from being a sexist a-hole to somebody who understands what we should be looking at is somebody's intellect, just like I would look at your intellect, not who you are or what your appearance would be or your tonality, but your intellect. We have to teach America to look at people's intellect and not what they seem like. Kamala Harris in speaking, in full sentences, in critical thinking, compared to Donald Trump, just a macho man trying to bring out the fallacies of masculinity, is not the thing. And the fact that he have allowed people to center around transgender. There are maybe 2 transgenders in a school, in any one school, and to make that the overpowering issue to work on the carnality of men is something that we have to overcome.
Yeah.
Individually and personally. Now, again, we should never, ever let it slide when this type of it's sort of a covert prejudice, a covert sexism raises its head. We must whack-a-mole it immediately. We must whack-a-mole it immediately. It doesn't matter if it's a friend, a foe, a family, this person in your same party. The only way to extricate this is for us, the only way to extricate prejudice is to call it out every single time. Now, listen, first let me read some of the stuff here because, but he says weak, insecure men cannot handle strong women. That's very true. Let's see what else we got. Let me go up top because it seems like I missed some conversation here. Let's say Breach Harris this AM 52, Trump 48. Yep, I got that, a 4-point lead. And there's another poll that came out as well where it's up to a 5-point lead. We still have it too close in the swing states, but I think she's going to close that. I got a direct message from Quinnipiac that shows that she's leading in North Carolina, but that she is at about 6 points behind in Georgia. I don't believe the Georgia poll, especially given the enthusiasm that I'm seeing with the voters on these first few days. I don't have the numbers for today yet. Does anybody know if they kept up the volume of voting today or not? I don't know that. All right, what else we got here? Michael says, it's always crazy to me that Trump is polling as high as he is, considering what he is. I kind of think that these polls, I don't like to talk about skewing polls because I spoke against that when they tried to do it when Obama was reading. Well, it's just wrong, right? But I really think a lot of these polls, because they got burned in 16, and the truth is they didn't get burned all that bad, and 20, they're overcompensating for the vote that never shows up for Trump in the polls. And I think what happens is people used to be embarrassed to say that they were poll supporters. Now they say it boldly. Donald Trump has removed all shame. You know, how do you support a rapist for the presidency? Well, you lose your shame. How do you support a racist, sexist who rips people off? You lose your morals. That is, people have lost their morals. And in doing so, they find it easy to vote for somebody like this. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Paul Fleming says, a Fort Myers TV station acquiesced and stopped playing pro-abortion rights ads after a Department of Health lawyer threatened Florida TV stations with criminal prosecution. It's a revelation in a First Amendment lawsuit as the political committee supported the Amendment for Abortion Rights Initiative sued a pair of state officials Wednesday in federal court. These guys would do anything, man. Anything. All right. Good afternoon, May Wood from Long Beach, California. Welcome to the program. And Melanie Keelan, of course, is here from Barcelona, Spain. Welcome, Melanie. Jay Ray says, well, he got, according to the instant poll, it was like 67 to 33 with like 30,000 viewers. Yep. I mean, he really cleaned Cruz's clock. I believe he already has a very good chance of winning. Again, it will, and people say, oh, well, they have to split votes. Well, let me tell you something else I think. if Kamala can get to the suburbs in Texas, if enough people see her in the suburbs in Texas, she also wins Texas. But we got to really put it out there. So, hey, I think in this case, it would be Colin Allred probably bringing in Kamala. All right, let's continue here. Breed says, weak, insecure men cannot handle strong women. I agree wholeheartedly. Maywood is trying out his old iPad again. Alisarin Dream says, yes, always called out for the way we laugh. And for which, let's see, we can't laugh or get angry, Miss Dream says. But the truth of the matter is, we need women to continue laughing and continue getting angry. The problem isn't women. The problem are men and women whose minds are in chains. I think yesterday, did I play the piece from? Did I play the piece from Andrea Mitchell? I think I did. Let me make sure before I go ahead and try to cue that up again, because I think I played the Andrea Mitchell piece. Yeah, I did play the piece where I said that we need to really start querying, in this case, white women who are voting for Trump. It is important that the same way we are scrutinizing black men who are purportedly voting for Trump, it's the same way we have to do with white women who are voting for Trump, given that he's killing them. He's killing them. And they don't quite get it. We have to make that quite obvious. All right, Bree says, when we are strong, we are bitches, but men are not bastards. Yeah, but a strong man isn't a man that raises his voice or his hands on anybody, right? Alisaran Dream says, thank you for doing that, Egberto. It's important. It is important, Alisaran. It's important. You know, I tell you what, I'll tell you a personal story. When I came to the States, I had my Panamanian culture of gold chains and all that kind of stuff. And for the longest time, I stopped wearing them. I don't wear all the stuff that, you know, we are very decorative in Panama. I don't do that anymore because, well, you know, I just, you know, don't have it anymore. But I remember when I started working for corporate America, the amount of things that I did to be either to make myself adapt. And I was never like that, ever. I was always an activist, go out there, to hell with you. I give my bosses a hard time. But there was something that always made me keep a certain posture. And I remember when I gave that up and said, to hell with it. Hell no. That's where I want women to be. And I notice I'm saying I want women to be there. And the women that attack women for being there, I want them to be schooled by other women. That's why I said when you saw Andrea Mitchell talking to Alicia Johnson, it was like, look, yes, black men need to understand they should not vote for Trump. After all, Trump wants to give police immunity. Police immunity is a license for a cop to destroy the bodies of people of color. Because whether one wants to believe it or not, people of color are consistently and constantly beaten by cops. You can take a look at what just happened in Colorado, where this guy, a deaf guy, they just threw to the floor, beat the hell out of him. It's a constancy. It's a lack of, it's the same way Israel treats the Palestinians, right? A lot of Israelis don't see the humanity in Palestinians. A lot of cops refuse to see the humanity in people of color. And that's exactly how they treat them. and any person of color voting for Donald Trump, in effect, they're saying, I am voting for having the cops use our bodies as piñatas. Because again, you're giving them immunity from doing anything. And don't forget, on day one, he talks about give them a day to be as violent as they want to be. That's who you're voting for. So I look at anybody voting for Trump as somebody who is putting my life in danger. And if anybody wants to discuss this by calling in, give me a call at 281-823-7747. Do you think I'm misguided? Let's discuss it. 281-823-7747. Let's see. Steigenbergen Greek says, oh, that's a private conversation. Let's see. Michael says transgender peoples were one of the first targets of the Nazis in 1933. Didn't know that. The parallels between Trump and the Nazi Party going after marginalized minorities is resounding. Yeah. Patrick Magner, my brother from the 6 o'clock hour, says there are so many examples of absolutely brilliant women. An excellent example is Vera Rubin. Tell me about Vera Rubin, but also Marie Curie, right? The X-rays, all that good stuff. MHD, it's not. Don't know what you're talking about. Alisarian Dream says, I'm lucky my husband is not insecure and often out men for bigotry. We have to do it. I was outed, right? Long time ago. I just want you guys to know that was long time ago. I've been an activist for a long time for women, for gays, all that good stuff. Long time ago. So I got corrected long time ago. All right. Gail Cooney says, difficult to get to post office in Evans, Georgia. It's across from Poland office. I imagine all the cars are parked. That is great. Hey, take a pic. Well, the next time you go there, take a picture and send it to us to say, hey, people in Georgia are voting. All right, let's see what else we got. Another thing for the screen from Bridge MCP. Let's go to the screen because Bridge MCP says so. All right, to the screen. And we have, let me get it onto the screen. It says, wanting a child born is pro-birth. Wanting a child fed, housed, educated with parents who earn a living wage is pro-life. I love it. Bridge, you find some of the best memes out there. Do you know that? You find some of the best memes out there. That is a wonderful meme. I'll repeat. Wanting a child born is pro-birth. Wanting a child fed, housed, educated with parents who earn a living wage is pro-life. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Bridge. That's a beautiful one. Maywood says, does yours seem to be working very well? Let's see. I don't know. All right. Patrick says, Eric, we live in a country that votes for celebrities because we only seem to understand pop culture instead of understanding the world around us. It's sad, right? We have some of the least informed people on the planet. And I'm talking about for countries where people have gone to school. All right, let's see what else we have. Let's see. Sorry, I miswrote. My last comment. My husband often calls out men on bigotry. I figured that's what you're talking about. Okay, I got it. Jay from LA. Sexism is hard to eradicate also because women by nature and culture are driven to protect. Thus, they protect men from themselves. Men don't even see it very often. Jay, I tell you something. We need to stop protecting men and start holding men accountable. I was in a group called Move to Amend, and we centralized first, even though we were together writing the 28th Amendment to the Constitution, for which we got a lot of sponsors. That Constitution, that amendment said, money is not speech and corporations are not people. Before we even started writing the amendment, and it was a group of us, we got together twice a year. We met in a house somewhere around the country, whether it be Chicago, San Francisco, LA, North Carolina. We'll meet in different places twice a year. and we'll buy a whole ton of groceries. We'll lock ourselves up into a big house. It would probably about 20 of us. We lock ourselves up into a big house, and we have our rounds. All of us. I was on the executive committee, but we were all the Move to Amend group, and we got together and we started talking about issues, and we had some strong women in there. And I didn't quite realize. I thought I had, after I got back from China, I thought I had completely eradicated my sexism and my homophobia, etc. And I'm gonna tell you, these women schooled me well. There was a time that we just shut down the meeting because either I said the wrong thing, or John said the wrong thing, or Dave said the wrong thing. And we will go ahead and go through iterations. What did you do wrong? Here is it. And we'll go through it, and it will be hammered into us. Sexism has no place here. Sexism has no place here. In fact, our leader was a woman. And I think it was a tough experience. It was hard because, when you think you're changed, it's like, when somebody thinks they're no longer racist, or somebody thinks they're no longer whatever, right? And when you find out that you still have that recessive memory in there, it's hard to take. It's hard to come back and say, I'm still messed up. I'm not messed up in the head. I'm still messed up in the heart, right? Remember that. So, Jay, you brought me into that narrative because you said women are often there to protect men. Men need no protection. They need to be held accountable, not protected, accountable. And let me break this down into, and I don't, again, this is just a cultural thing, but it takes on the level of pigmentation. The fact that white women vote for Republicans, a party that doesn't respect gender, that doesn't respect women, etc., is exactly what you are talking about, Jay. And it's something that needs eradicating. So when we see Andrea Mitchell talk about black men doing the wrong things by voting for Donald Trump, you're right. They're voting for their own demise. The same thing applies to white women, and our white women in here and elsewhere. More so than anybody else, more so than myself as an activist, more so than anybody else. You have to go out there and shake these women and let these women know your vote is affecting my life and your life. All right? Your vote. So to my white women in the chat right now, which one of you are going to start doing that? Tell me, I will. If there's any of you that's going to do that, that's going to say, I am going to, because again, it isn't something that I can do, but you can. You can go out there in their comfort zone and say, we've got to stop this, ladies. We can't be there being the backstop for those men that is a clear and present danger to our bodies. You can do that. Who is going to do that? Hey, Melissa Bowie is in the house. What's up, Houston? Boy, the 8 a.m. show had me hot this morning, so I went and actually watched the interview with Charlemagne. VP didn't say strictly for black men. She said small businesses, everyone. Again, you notice I said that on my 6 o'clock show because they try to racialize the woman. So I corrected that on the 6 o'clock show, Melissa. But of course, Melissa, you haven't been coming to the 6 o'clock show. At least you're here now. But you haven't called me on the 6 o'clock show. You normally have a lot to say on the 6 o'clock show, or you used to, before you threw us to the curb. I'm playing with you, beautiful. All right, let's see what else we got here. Mike Cisak says, what about progressives do if they don't have other people's money to bribe? It's your imagination that progressives are the ones. Remember, progressives gives the money to the conservatives. Conservatives are the ones who are in dire straits. It's progressive money that's coming into the red states that don't have a pot to piss in. Okay? it's progressive money that is keeping the healthcare system up in the red states. Remember, most of these red states are beggar states. So when you make a silly comment, my dear brother, what would progressives do if they didn't have other people's money? Well, you guys are spending our money. You conservative MAGA folks are spending our money. So when you make that statement, it's what we call projection, my brother. You are looking in the mirror, my brother. I still love you, but you're looking in the mirror. All right. Breed says, Egberto, Willies said this before, and it is true. This is why some women do what they do, called internalized sexism, internalized misogyny. Internalized sexism is a form of sexist behavior and attitudes enacted by women toward themselves or other women and girls. And guess what, Breach? It happens in the black community as well. You have there's this stuff called proximity to whiteness, right? It happens in the Latino community, in the black community, etc. So some people they only feel affirmed if they are in a particular group class. And notice I said group class, right? And it's something that needs to be eradicated. It is something that needs to be eradicated. Now, Mike Cisak says I'm a bigot and a sexist. Okay. If my stances makes me a bigot and a sexist, then I guess I better remain this way because this is what is supposed to be. Mike Cisak. All right. Let's see what else we got here. 28th Amendment. Michael Rudnin, everybody, the 28th Amendment is the next amendment, right? So I don't know if this one is, that's my buddy. That's the guy who wrote the article with me at Common Dreams. His name is, look up on Common Dreams, look up Egberto Willies on Common Dreams and look at the co-author with me on the item we wrote on net neutrality. We wrote an article together, me and the guy with the ponytail. And that's man, that's a long time ago. That's a long time ago, man. I remember those days. Anyhow, those were the days. All right, let's see what else we got here. Patrick Magner says, men live longer if they are married. Women live longer if they're single. Men get more from women than they could ever imagine, and I could not agree any more than that. Jay says, yes, it needs to stop. For some women, it's hard. It's like a version of Stockholm Syndrome. You nailed it. A version of Stockholm Syndrome, generationally and institutionally reinforced. We need to help this conundrum, and you can start it. So I asked, thank you. Alice Erin Dream says she will join that. Yes, she will. Steigen says, spot on. We need more eradication of these violent and harmful ideologies. So Steigen Bergen is in as well. Forgive me, Steigen. Let's see what else we got here. Patrick Wagner says, blue states fund red states. That's a statement of fact. Progressives name calling is what I'm hearing. No. I think the person who's brought it out, Eric said, I'm not Eric, Mike Cisak says, Egberto, you are a bigot and a sexist. So I don't think you heard me call anybody any names at all. Eric, please tell me what name call did I do here. Please tell me. But I can point to you in writing where Cisak says I'm a sexist and a bigot. You see how you guys internalize lies? Is that what Donald Trump has taught? That you can look at reality and not see it? All right. Melissa Bowie says, I listened to you this morning. Okay, Melissa, I feel better now that I know that you listened to me this morning. All right, something is wrong with Eric, not only his words, but I think Eric, there's an issue. Kian, thank you, man. Kian Bliss. That's, Kian is my buddy, man. And I think he still would move to amend. At least by last year, I think he was still with move to amend. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see what I got here. I heard you. I had to go check for myself. Okay, I got you. All right, Alisarian Dream says, I blocked Eric long ago. And Melissa Bowie says, MCP, he sounds very different on the 8 o'clock show. He articulates better. He calls Mr. Willies just angry, like he want to fight. Actually, hey, Melissa, it's a 6 o'clock show, not 8 o'clock show. The 8 o'clock show is Hugh Talk. And I thought when you text me this morning, you were talking about Hugh Talk. Because after you texted me, I called into Hugh Talk to bring up a necessary point. And then I started getting texts directly saying, hey, thank you for calling in. All right. Let's see. Egberto, you are a bigot towards religion and a racist towards white people. You also think that men should compete in women's sports. Wow. Hey, to my white, hey, Eric, you know me personally, Eric. Let's see if Eric will tell the truth here. Eric, is your buddy here, Egberto, a racist? Yes or no? Put it in the chat for everybody to see. We've broken bread and coffee together. Am I a racist, Mr. Hayes? Or do I just speak my voice? All right, I got another video to play. And while I'm playing that video, I'm waiting for Eric's response. Let's see if Eric can go against the grain. But here is the next one. This is an important video. Let's hear it. We know that Donald Trump is a clear and present danger. We know that Donald Trump has severe character flaws. We know that Donald Trump is mentally impaired just based on the last 2 days. We saw him not able to answer questions coherently. We able to follow one line of thought. We saw him after in a town hall where he was supposed to answer many questions, answer 3 or 4, and then just shut up and said, after people start, a couple of people fainted, then said, to hell with it. Let's just listen to music. That is a sick person, but that only speaks about his proclivities. I mean, his proclivity to harm women, holding on women's piece parts, going ahead and stealing from people. I mean, the guy is just a terrible human being, both criminally, civilly, etc. Many people have decided that it is okay to vote for this guy because their claim is that, well, it's good for the economy based on his past economy, which I've already disputed and pointed out that it was no better. In fact, it was much on par, rather, it was much lower than the Biden's economy, and it was even lower than Carter's economy. Yes, we had inflation, but inflation, we didn't do a good job of specifically attacking Trump for being the genesis of the procedures that led to inflation. But that aside, we have data that these economists point out Donald Trump policies would actually raise interest rates, would actually cause inflation, and would actually balloon the deficit. So for all of you who hate the character, who this guy is, what he represents, the clear and present danger, but you're voting for him because of pocketbook issues, again, you have to ask yourself if that's the case. Listen to what his economy would be like, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Your thinking is the threat of a 200% tariff will stop them from taking the car. So you won't actually have to do it. So you're not going to actually push prices higher.
I never until now I said 200. I'm using that just as a.
You say 200 a lot.
Oh, I'll say 100, 200. I'll say 500. I don't care. They're not going to bring cars into this country from Mexico and destroy what car companies we have left.
That was former President Trump saying he's proposed a tariff policy as a quote figure of speech. Meanwhile, economists expect higher inflation, higher national deficits, and higher interest rates under the proposed policies proposed by former President Donald Trump, more so than those put forth by Vice President Kamala Harris. That's according to the Wall Street Journal and a new survey of 50 economists. Among the findings, 68% think inflation would rise faster under a second Trump term. 65% see Trump's policies adding more to the nation's deficits compared to Kamala Harris. And it's not even close. That's not even close. And 59% said Trump's proposed tariffs would lead to higher unemployment and lower employment. And 61% anticipated higher interest rates under a second Trump term, whereas 45% expect economic output to expand faster under Harris, only 37 under Trump. Let's bring in right now the co-anchor of CBC Squawk Box and New York Times columnist, Sorkin. Andrew, got a lot to talk about this morning with you. It's all from the Wall Street Journal. We just saw that. Willie and I were talking earlier about the Dow and the S&P reaching new records. Good luck with your friends.
Yep.
All-time highs. Good luck with your friends around you that talk about how Biden and Harris are socialists when things are going well. This is what the small government conservative in me, this is, I know it seems mundane and nerdy, maybe dorkish to people. This is the story I'm most interested in right now. And that is, here we go. Nobel Prize Economics Award goes to the study of nations' prosperity. And Andrew, you'll just be shocked. Capitalism works. Freedom fosters innovation. Autocracy are more autocratic type governments. And I will not hide it here. People talking like Donald Trump saying we're going to take all the power in. We're going to consolidate the power inside the White House. We're going to have autocrats actually inhibit innovation. And finally, let me just say, get off my chest, institutions matter. That's what these economists said. Institutions matter. Donald Trump and his cronies have been talking about tearing down institutions. They call it the deep state because they want to fire as many people and tear apart as many institutions as they can because Trump has said he wants to consolidate power in the White House. Edmund Burke, the founder of conservatism as a movement, talked also, like these economists, about the power of institutions and that institutions that are built up over centuries by compromise, by custom, by convention, by prudence. That's how you protect countries. That's how you protect economies. And Burke warns that radicals can tear down in one day what has been built up over generations by compromise and convention and custom. And it's something that too many people in my former party don't want to hear. But you know what? I don't always agree with Nobel Prizes that are awarded. This one gets it right. It's about freedom. It fosters innovation and the importance of institutions.
And by the way, the whole idea of getting, that industrial policy is not the right answer. I mean, that's part of what this is. And what's so unique, I think, about this moment is you have a Republican candidate who is for industrial policy, which is a real break historically from that party at a very minimum. You have these 50 economists and the data is clear. Now, I know that in an age of misinformation, experts seem to get discounted, which I'm always surprised by. But here you have 50 economists clearly talking about higher inflation. What have we been talking about in this entire campaign? The entire question of this election has been about inflation. Former President Trump and Republicans have talked repeatedly about how they feel that inflation has been a runaway topic and a runaway issue, not in part, because they blame the Democrats. And here we are in a situation where inflation in the United States has come down remarkably over the past 3.5 years now. And if you listen to these economists, based on what former President Trump has said, we would have meaningfully higher inflation. Somebody asked, I think I was talking to Glenn Youngkin last week, Governor Glenn Youngkin from Virginia, and he said, can you imagine what the world would be like with another 4 years of Kamala Harris or a Biden administration? I thought to myself, well, if you think about what the last 4 years have been like and you look at that trend line and you would imagine that trend line where it can continue, where would we be? And I would think somebody like him would be very happy. You would have.
What do you think? Like, what's he want? Like the Dow at 80,000? Yeah. Well, can you imagine what would happen? You look at, again, I know that politicians are afraid to say this, but America is the envy of the world. Our economy is the envy of the world.
Now, if after this, you still claim you're voting for Donald Trump because of economic reasons, you need to challenge your mind and challenge your heart and ask yourself, why are you willing to discount everything being told to you? Proof not only of his past, but his present and what economists now point out about what his economy would be like. Why would you still vote for somebody like this? You've got to ask yourself, what's the real reason that you're looking for some reason to vote for this guy as opposed to Kamala Harris. We spend a lot. So again, if you're trying to vote for this guy, if you're using the excuse that you're voting for this guy because of the economy, you're only lying to yourself. All right. Michael says Trump pushing tariffs on Mexico would go against his own trade deals. And yes, it would create huge price shocks, effectively a Trump sales tax. Latin vex Trump tariff would violate USCM. U.S. presidential candidate threatens to blow up $800 billion U.S.-Mexico trade. You have to remember this. The United States breaks more treaties likely than anybody on the planet. Their treaties are for other people. We sign treaties to keep other people in line. When it comes to following the treaties, look at we are founders of the UN. And when we don't like what the UN does, to hell with the UN. They don't know what they're doing. You listen to what our military guys are saying, the UN isn't doing it right, or constantly. That's what it's all about. Hey, don't forget Black Rock, or not Black Rock, but the Black Mountains or whatever it's called. We signed a treaty with the natives, and what happened? They find gold, and they said, we'll go take the gold, and no more treaty, throw them on the reservation. That's who we are. And so when we're singing glory, glory, hallelujah, we need to remember what we've done as well. Treaty, man, whatever. Now, when he talks about, he tried to say, just the threat of tariffs will prevent certain things from coming in. What he doesn't tell you is, the threat of tariffs would prevent certain things from coming in, right? But it also means that the prices locally will go up because the threat of those things coming in aren't there. Supply and demand. Again, these people like to use the economic system to say whatever. I'm not going to go there because I have Alice Erin Dream says, I remember my mom cussing Reagan and all the other moms praising him and baking cookies. Your mom was smart, Miss Dreams. Very smart. Let's see what else we got. Mike Cisak. It seems like Bridge believes there's a closet somewhere close to you. Carl Cox says, wrong, Cisak. You don't have a clue about economy under Reagan. If you guys really want to learn about the economy under Reagan, remember the book that I wrote called As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. I have a chapter called The President with several sub-chapters. And let me give you the title of the chapter with Reagan because I thought it was kind of cute. Patrick is calling in. Hi, Patrick. How you doing, my brother? Patrick, you're on. Okay, I'm pretty sure
Hello?
you're on. Yeah,
Hello?
I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead, Patrick.
Okay, there was some lag. I was going to give just a little bit of insight. There's some speak of racism, and I guess it's being projected towards the left. I'm a very, very white person, and I work in a branch of construction, and I work out in the field, and I get to hear and talk to people that look like me that don't understand how I think because I don't share that much.
Because you're a very white guy. I get it.
Yeah. When I speak to somebody and they get worried about immigration or something, people that look like me, I'll say, well, statistically, they don't seem like they're causing a problem. They're not really causing crime or anything. So then when I go through all the logical arguments, it boils down to a response like, well, I don't want to look at them. That's oftentimes And then also too, when I'm speaking about the two choices that we have for presidents, I'll go through the economy and everything, and I'll tell them everything I can, and it'll all boil down to, after they hear all that, they'll say, well, I don't want that expletive, and there'll be a sexist comment and a comment about color leading my country or telling me what to do. And I heard the same thing during the Obama era. Mm-hmm. And so everybody is saying that the left is racist, but anytime I try and have a logical conversation with somebody that doesn't see things the way I do, the conversation always ends with them giving up and telling me that they don't want this type of person leading me, or they don't want to see these kind of people. So that's all I had to say.
No, but let me. I want to query you a little bit, because I am glad. There are stories written where there are black women. This woman, I don't remember where I read the story. She's a black woman, but she's white passing, right? And on the meeting, they didn't quite know she wasn't. She said, "It's amazing how different the discussion is than many of us know." And we have quite a few people in the chat here that would exhibit exactly what you're talking about when you say, you can give all the information you want, but ultimately the reason that they won't vote for Kamala isn't that she's not going to do right by them, but they just can't see past her gender. They just can't see past her race, and they don't want somebody of that gender or that race being in control or running the country. That's pretty much what you're saying, correct?
Yes, that's how my discussions or arguments typically end.
And it's sad, because a lot of these people, including a few in the chat, deep in their hearts, they know that is the reason. And when they're looking for reasons to vote for Trump, they know that's the reason. Because remember the piece that I just did, Patrick, I said the following. We've debunked that somehow Donald Trump was good on the economy. We've debunked that Donald Trump's new policies would be good for the economy. So if you know all this information and you're still voting for him, you have to ask yourself, if you don't want to admit it, like Patrick has heard in his own doing, you have to admit there's another reason. Am I right?
Yes. When all the reasons that they're being told to say fall apart, the truth comes out.
And there's a concept known as reductio ad absurdum. And that is exactly what we just did. Reductio ad absurdum. Patrick, thank you so kindly, first of all, for calling in with that honest assessment. But secondly, just for being who you are, brother.
Well, people like you are making it easier. I'd have a lot more friends if I could meet people like you.
Thank you, brother. Hey, wait a minute. Before you go, don't forget, we have a coffee to do, You remember that?
Yep. I'm looking forward to it. I'm figuring it'd be better after the election.
Okay, we'll do that. And it looks to me like, if I remember correctly, I think you're the one that said Johnny has to be there, right?
Well, I tried to invite some people, and that's kind of like what I'd like to do, is meet some people, maybe not exactly like me, but have some conversations. But
let me tell you,
I kind of think that the political climate. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Patrick.
I was going to say the political climate has gotten to a point where probably people are afraid.
Well, I bust through that because I go have lunch, or not lunch, but coffee with Eric sometimes. Okay. And Eric, sometimes I want to slap him around, I love him, but I want to slap him around because he doesn't know I think he falls partly, but just with a bit more class with some of what you just said. But he doesn't, I don't even know if he quite realizes it. But anyway, we'll talk another time, brother. All right.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Have a wonderful day. All right, folks. Anybody else want to make any comments in the chat for me to say before I go ahead and make my ask? Because, folks, we need your support, and we need your support to keep this thing consistent and going. And let me go ahead and give it to you right now. Please go ahead and visit us at politicsdoneright.com/support. politicsdoneright.com/support. It is where you can find all the different forms in supporting our radio show, our TV show, our media show, all of that. It's right there. Let's see. I love this. Eric says, Egberto, I would like to have coffee with you and Patrick. All right. When we set it up with Patrick, you will be there, Eric. Let's see what else we got here. Bree says, Egberto Willies, in my town and the attaching towns, MAGA is burning and ripping out Harris signs. Says a lot about their party and character. That is true. That is true. All right, folks. Another way to support us is to go ahead and please become paid subscribers of our newsletter. And how do you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter? Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Alice Siren Dreams, you're into, sis. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Okay? And become a paid subscriber if you can. It's like a coffee or so, folks, and it really starts to build us up. I am still negative cash flow for the business, this entire enterprise, for the last several years, and I can't continue in that domain. So please consider becoming a paid subscriber. All of you who like what we do, who like the work that we intend to do, that we intend to continue, go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, become a paid subscriber, or go to politicsdoneright.com/support and support us however way you can. I got to get out of here. It's 4:01. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.